Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my March wrap up. So I had an amazing reading month in March. I read 16 books and 7 of those 16 books were 5-star reads. So I really did have just such a great month in terms of my reading. As everybody will know, we are on lockdown. So I haven't really had much else to do with my evenings and weekends than read, which I think has helped me read this many books. But we will see if I do that again in April as lockdown continues. But I don't really want to talk about that. So I'm going to go through these books in the order that I rated them, so from worst to best, worst. But first I just want to talk you through a couple of books that I didn't rate. I'm going to try and not talk for too much about each of these books because there are 16, so we will be here a while if I said everything I wanted to about these. First of all then, one book I didn't rate is The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. This is the book that wizarding children in the Harry Potter universe get read as a child. So there are some great stories in here. I'm not going to remember all the names off the top of my head. We've got The Wizard and the Hopping Pot, Babbity Rabbity and the Cackling Stump. So yeah, this book is referenced in, I'm pretty sure it's just in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, but I could be wrong. So it was written as its own book and it's just wizarding children's fairy tales. For that reason, I didn't really want to rate it. I couldn't think of a way that would, I like this, but they weren't the best stories in the world. It was just a Harry Potter fan view on these things, so I didn't really want to give it a numbered rating, but I did really enjoy reading it. Next is another book I didn't rate, and that is Just Call My Name by Holly Goldberg Sloan. And the reason I didn't rate this is a second book, it's a sequel, and there is no way of knowing that from this cover. As soon as I started reading it and plugged it into Goodreads, it came up as number 2, so yeah. And I did not enjoy this book. But then thinking back, the only things I was angry about was nothing had any background, nothing was built up. And that could be because it's the second book and all those things happened in the first book. Without reading the first book, I don't know that. And I didn't care enough about the characters and the story to want to read the first book. So I just decided not to give it a rating and I carried on reading it anyway. But from what I know of the story, I wouldn't particularly recommend it. But I can't say that with absolute certainty without reading the first book. Okay, so going into my worst rated book of the month, that is We Are All Made of Molecules by Susan Nielsen. I also read her book Optimists Die First in February, which I gave 3 stars, I believe. So this one was a 2.5. And I just really didn't like it. I don't think it's marketed right. It could be because it's like I'm saying backlist, whether everyone's going to say backlist is a different thing. It was published in 2015. It says, Stuart is geeky, gifted, but socially clueless. His mom has died and he misses her every day. Ashley is popular, cool, but her grades stink. Her dad has come out and moved out, but not far enough. Their worlds are about to collide. Stuart and his dad are moving in with Ashley and her mum. So this was marketed to me about Stuart, he calls himself gifted, and how he struggles in normal situations, like socially. And I thought it was going to be all about that, and it was, but it was like it was being told to like a 10-year-old, so it was closer to middle grade than YA in my opinion. But then some things happened in this story, which obviously can't give away because of spoilers, that if they were in a young adult book, they probably would have been into deeper and I would have enjoyed that. So this book just wasn't really what I expected. I didn't want to say it was overly bad, so obviously 3 stars for me is like it was fine. So 2.5 is it was fine, but I just didn't like it. Yeah, wasn't the best. I did prefer Susan Nielsen's other book, and I don't think I would reach out for any of their books in the future. Maybe if one was marketed to me in a way that sounded amazing, I might try it, but just wasn't really my cup of tea. So now I have 2 3-star books. The first one being The Weight of a Thousand Feathers by Brian Conahan. This is about, what's his name? I've completely forgotten. Bobby, whose mom has MS and she's really struggling. Bobby is struggling with managing his little brother, his schoolwork and being a carer for his mum. And his mom's just sort of given up really, and she'd like Bobby's help to end her life. It should be a massive spoiler, but it tells you that on the blurb. So my main problem with this book is it gave away everything at the beginning, but it is written in a way that's really easy to speed read it. I think I read it in one night, maybe two, so I could read it really quickly. The story was sort of predictable, but it was sort of predictable, but I sort of enjoyed it, so that's why I settled on a 3-star rating. It's not that I wouldn't recommend this book, but I wouldn't urge people to pick it up. The other 3-star book actually has the same author, that is We Come Apart by Sarah Crossan and Brian Conahan. So I've read a Sarah Crossan before. I read one in January, maybe? February? Who knows? I've read it, and this is told in verse, as one was as well. So Brian Conahan being the author of the previous book, and Sarah Crossan, I've read a book of hers before and really enjoyed it. But together, didn't really love it. As I said, I gave it 3 stars, which is fine for me, but it wasn't anything extremely mind-blowing. So I enjoyed the story, written in verse, so I read it really quickly. I should probably say this is about Jess and Niku. So they're both, Jess is a bit of a like bad girl reputation and she's doing community service. So is Niku, who is an immigrant, and he has been arrested. So he gets community service and they end up working together and become friends. So I liked that part of the story. I liked that it was told in verse, I could read it really quickly, but it didn't blow me away. Now I have a book that I gave 3.5 stars, which I can't show you because it's packaged up to already send to Emily over at No Vowel Novels, and that is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I really wanted to love this book. I love Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I read Attachments in January and gave it 5 stars, but this one just wasn't really my cup of tea. So this is about 2 characters, Eleanor and Park, who are pretty much completely different, but they end up becoming friends and falling in love. And that was pretty much it. I did give it 3.5 stars because I enjoyed some elements of it, but really, even speaking about it without the book in front of me, I can't remember anything more. It wasn't that great, but it was still a bit better than fine. So 3.5 stars, and I'm going to leave it there because I don't remember. So I've only got one 4-star book here, and that is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. So for me, a 4-star rating is still really, really good. I have been buddy reading the entire Cassandra Clare books with Brittany at the Neverending Reader. So I actually ended up reading 2 in this month, but this was should have been our March read. I didn't absolutely love it. I did think it was really good. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is the Infernal Devices series, and it's a sort of moving on from the Shadowhunter series and taking it back to 1800s London. I don't really do historical fiction, so for me to give that anything other than a 3-star anyway, because I don't like historical stuff, means it is really good. But I spent the whole time comparing it to the Shadowhunter series, which I much prefer, so couldn't really give this more than 4 stars, with me liking the Shadowhunter series so much more. This hand is really being expressive today. So yeah, this is the first one in the Infernal Devices series, so I am moving on to the other books soon, and I'm excited to do that. I might give one of the other books a higher rating, but this one just didn't really blow me away in any way, and I'm just interested to see where the rest of them go, to see what will happen to my rating and my opinion on this series. So then I have 2 books that I gave 4.5 stars, the first one being City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. So this is the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series. So this was supposed to be the February read, but I ended up reading it in March, I believe. And as I just said, I gave this one 4.5 stars, and this is the Shadowhunters in modern day. I can't give much away about this story, so obviously it's the 3rd book in the series, but I've consistently I think City of Bones, the first book, I gave 5 stars, and City of Ashes I gave 4.5, so I'm still floating about in that really high region of ratings, but this one was just missing that certain something to make me give it 5 stars. But I've got high hopes for City of Fallen Angels, which is my April read, which the last time I read that I loved it, so I'm assuming that that rating is going to be a 5-star and just slightly higher than this one. I'm getting tired of talking already. And the last 4.5-star book I've got here is Serious Moonlight by Jen Bennett. So it was part of my Jen Bennett weekend readathon. And I believe, I've read this book before, and I believe I gave it 4 stars, and then I upped it to a 4.5 star. I can't give it 5 stars because I also read 2 more Didnt books, which you will see in a minute, that I gave 5, and this one was just missing something in comparison to those. So this is about Birdie, who is absolutely obsessed with detective books, and she meets this guy, Daniel. Yeah, it is Daniel. And they have a bit of what she is assuming will be a one-night stand in a car. And then it turns out she is working with Daniel, so she has got to get on with him, and there ends up being some mystery case that they decide to solve together. It is very cute. It is like YA contemporary with a slight mystery twist. Loved it. This is my copy that Brittany annotated, so we have all of her annotations and now all of my annotations inside, so you probably can't even see that. I'm not used to having the camera here. So I really enjoyed reading this and seeing Brittany's annotations as well, but it is just missing something for me to give it the full 5 stars. And now my 5-star book. So haven't ordered these in any way. These are just in the order that I read them. So the book I actually read on the 1st of March was The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I absolutely loved this book. It's a huge book and I devoured it. So this is about, I'm sure everyone has heard about this book. This is about Tiffy and Leon, who share a flat. So Leon works the night shifts and Tiffy works normal day shifts. So they share a flat, they share a bed, and they just alternate who is in the flat at which time. And they're not supposed to meet each other. That being the key word, they're not supposed to meet each other. So they are literally sharing a bed and they won't see each other's faces. Why is this so difficult to explain? Obviously, they do meet. That is the whole point of this book, but it is just so... They start falling in love through leaving post-it notes throughout their flat. And I absolutely devoured this. I can't believe how quickly I read it, and I would recommend this to everyone. Next, I have Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, which I actually read on Brittany's recommendation. So obviously this is another 5-star read. This is about, I've forgotten her name completely, how awful, Maddie. Maddie, who is allergic to everything, absolutely everything. So she has to stay in her house. There's even like disinfecting air stuff if anyone else comes in the house. She's not allowed to have contact with anyone. She sees her mom and her nurse and potentially different doctors and tutors, but that is it. And oh my god, it is amazing. So everything starts going crazy when a new family moves in next door. And what is his name? Ollie. Ollie moves in. Ollie looks like the stereotypical bad boy. We're talking black t-shirts, black jeans, like ripped knees, Converse, I think it does. It doesn't say Converse, it says black sneakers. But he is the stereotypical bad boy. She catches his eye out the window and he wants to find out why she can't speak to him really and why they can't physically meet each other. It is amazing. I read it in one sitting. It's not huge, but I did absolutely speed through it. And I would recommend this. I would compare it to 5 Feet Apart. If you like that, you will probably like this. It's in the 5 Feet Apart, Midnight Sun, Fault in Our Stars, that sort of group of books in my head. But I just think it was amazing. I have read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon and didn't love it. This one was so much better in comparison. So don't let that put you off if you didn't like The Sun Is Also a Star. I've realised I'm talking very quickly. I'm going to move on. Next is another YA contemporary, and that is Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. This is about 2 characters, Libby and Jack. Libby was once America's fattest teen, she was named. She had to be cut out of her house and Jack witnessed this. So after that happens, Libby is moved into homeschooling, but after she's turned her life around, she goes into mainstream school and things start developing between her and Jack. But Jack also has problems because he has something that I cannot pronounce. I'm hoping it's going to be on one of the first pages. Yeah, here we go. Prosopagnosia? He basically, every time he sees someone's face, he doesn't recognise that person. He doesn't learn faces. So he will go downstairs in the morning for breakfast. He will see his mom, but he won't know it's his mom. He doesn't remember her face at all. And he has to use certain qualities of that person to be able to recognise them. So with Libby, he notices that she's fat, and that's that. And obviously things develop between the two, otherwise it wouldn't be a YA contemporary. But this was just absolutely amazing. I prefer it to Jennifer Niven's other book, All the Bright Places. I thought this one was way better, but yeah, rambling again, so I'm going to put this one down. Next was one of my guilty pleasure reads, and that is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. This was my reread of this book, and I went through and tabbed it up, which was so much fun. Vampire Academy I absolutely love. I'm rereading the series. Well, I say rereading, I've only read the first 2 books before. So in April I'm going to read Frostbite, and then after that I'm reading the series brand new, and I'm really excited about it. And this is about Rose and Lissa. Lissa is a vampire, but she is mortal. So Rose is her protector, and they go to a vampire academy where the protectors are trained to look after the vampires. And at one point, this starts off with Rose and Lissa have ran away from the school, and they're trying to be I want to say captured. They're trying to be captured by the people who run the school so that they go back and they are safe in the school. Rose is then trained by this amazing vampire guardian called Dimitri, which is a whole other thing, and I can't wait for that to develop in the next books. But yeah, this was just such a great time. I loved rereading it, and I can't wait to carry on with the series. Next, I have my buddy read with Emily at Novell Novels that we had this month, and that is Call It What You Want by Brigid Kemmerer. Brigid Kemmerer is seriously one of my favourite authors. This book was so amazing. This was about Rob and Megan. Rob's dad was caught embezzling the town's money. Like, everyone in the town had invested money with him, and he got caught stealing it, basically. And he tried to kill himself, but he didn't quite manage it. So he is now in a wheelchair and has completely no control over himself. He has to be fully looked after. And Rob is living with people knowing that his dad did this, and then having his dad to care for. So he's got it quite difficult at home. Megan has always been a bit of an overachiever. I've been talking for far too long. But she makes the bad decision to cheat on her SATs, is it? I mean, I'm not American, so I don't know. So she decides to cheat, and everyone in the class's grades get wiped for that reason. I don't know how they work. So everyone really hates her because she cheated. And then her sister comes home from college, and her sister also has issues she's dealing with. So Megan's trying to juggle everything as well. And Rob and Megan get partnered up in a maths project to work together, and they basically just form a nice friendship and relationship over them both struggling with different things. And oh my god, it's amazing. And if Brigid Kemmerer writes a sequel to this book, I will buy it instantly. Finally, I have 2 Jen Bennett books, again from my Jen Bennett weekend readathon, which I have, if I haven't said already, I will link the vlog for that up top, wherever it goes. The first one being Alex Approximately. This was one of my birthday presents from Cole in January, so I got to it pretty quick for me for reading a book. This one I did tab up myself, following the same tabbing structure as Serious Moonlight. I also annotated it as I was going through. I had so much fun doing it. This is amazing. This is about, how have I forgotten their names? I just read too many books. This is about Bailey, who is talking to somebody online called Alex, and they are like film buffs. So they just talk about their favourite films all the time, and everything is film related. And then Bailey ends up moving in with her dad, who lives in the same place as Alex. And I believe it's just, is it California? It is California. I don't know where. It's California. And then while she's working, she gets a job in some sort of museum that's not a museum. It's like a tourist attraction. And there's a guy that she works with called Porter, who is an absolute dick to her. But she works with him, she argues with him, and she ends up falling for him. And she's still on the hunt for Alex, who she's not told she's moved over to California. This was really amazing. I loved every second of it. I read it in I read all these Jen Bennett books in just under 4 days, so I had a great time speeding through it. It was amazing. I annotated it. I'm going to reread it as soon as I've forgotten parts of the story and can read and annotate again. Potentially my favourite book of the year so far. And on that note, one of my favourite books of 2019, which I've now read again, is Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. This is about Zori and Lennon, who were best friends, but they're now enemies. And they are enemies following what they called the Great Experiment, where they decided to take their friendship into a secret relationship that no one would know about. And it all went a bit wrong. Now they hate each other. They end up all camping with a group of friends, and when the group of friends leave them abandoned in the wilderness, they have to learn to stick together. This was amazing. Again, tabbed it, annotated it, loved every second of it. And if you're watching this video and have never read any Jen Bennett, then you seriously need to. She is amazing. So that is it. My voice actually hurts talking about all those books. Obviously, as I said, I had a great reading month in March, and I just hope to carry that on in April while we're doing the owls. And yeah, now I've got to try and take a thumbnail with all these books. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.